to forget where we came from and what we did, and we start looking more on the challenges than looking at some of the contributions that made us be successful in this country. So I'm thinking for the most part, even in AI right now, as you can see, most of us are trying to create stuff that we want to sell. Most of us are in business. That been me. I'm always trying to make another. And it's a good thing to have a business, don't get me wrong. But if you're having a business and you're not turning around and putting that knowledge, that information back into your community, we had a bit of a talk about this actually at dinner yesterday, looking at why don't Kenyans find it easier to be successful, even helping each other to start something compared to other groups, Chinese, Nigerians, and all that. And we find out that it's because we like to do our own thing. I don't know if it's our education system or it's just the way we were brought up or the British system of individualistic. I'm not sure, but it seems that when we come here and we are successful, we tend to just keep it to ourselves instead of sharing and giving back and creating communities where we can make it sustainable. Like they said, we are sending out $5 billion back to Kenya. Can you imagine if we took that $1 billion and every year we are sustaining some growth of AI, some growth of technology? That would help. So I believe we're doing more of a drain and we're causing more harm than good.
Okay. I think how you've said it that we as Kenyans, we struggle with trying to find that collaboration as a community. And when you hang around other communities, you know, Nigerians, Ghana and all that, they do much more by giving back into their communities and they collaborate a little bit better than we do. So I think that's one of the challenges, you know, I think, you know, part of this conference and discussion today is knowing that what are we going to do as Kenyans to start? We have to start somewhere. We can't just be having the conversations. We have to start somewhere. All right, the next question will go to Ndobera?
Yes.
Ndobera?
Yeah.
Okay. Are diaspora investments creating sustainable economic opportunities or contributing rising cost and inequality?
So diaspora contributions?
Are diaspora investments creating sustainable economic opportunities or contributing to rising cost and inequalities?
Maybe I'll have to stand to answer that. Yeah, I can tell you for sure that diaspora investments, is changing lives in Africa. One example that I gave is the company that I manage, right? It's a startup. It's not a startup anymore. So already we have over around 60 to 70 employees, 15 interns working already for it. The CEO is 23 years old. I'm the oldest person in that company. So those investments are substantial. And I've spoken in other forum where I tell Kenyans that what is it about your big house in Kenya infested with lizards that you don't live in? You don't live there. The watchman brings even maybe women into that house and all that. So what I'm trying to say is that there are a group of many Kenyans who have found a way to invest directly to help the people. And our solution, for example, is helping the people directly. In fact, over 3 million of our users are not only in Kenya, spread throughout Africa. And that's just one example. Number two, I also, for example, lead a group known as the Kenya Scientists in Diaspora. There are over 1,000 scientists spread across the globe. And we are involved in multiple research collaborations with people in Africa. Just last week, we were in a meeting with a group of scientists from Kenya, Italy, and the US, applying for research grant of up to $2.5 million from the European Union. And that money was going to go to Kenya, right? So there are multiple ways by which you can be able to invest and be able to help. So those inequalities really, maybe they're there, but in other words, according to my perspective, you have to do deliberate moves, deliberate decisions, and move away from a big $15 million house that you don't live in?
I think he was directly jabbing at me, but I don't have a $15 million home with lizards invested. All right. Itonga, this one is for you. What matters more, remnants or building long-term systems, institutions, and businesses? And/or businesses.
Awesome. Maybe just before I get to that, just to give this a spice of the debate that it should be, I will start with a saying that is in, I think, many of our local languages, that a person who only eats food done by their mother will think that she's the best cook. So that's just the idea of, it's not just brain drain. I think from the conversations that I've had since yesterday, it's also brain gain. And brain gain because right now we are in situations where a lot of those who are here would not have gotten the knowledge, the skills, and had the impact in the global sphere that you've had if you are still in Kenya. So we would see it from a positive sense of you getting that brain gain, but being in a position that being a global village. You don't have to be in Kenya to impact Kenya. So you can impact Kenyan lives, you can impact Kenyan growth from any part of this world. And that is why we do not, we shouldn't see it as something negative that people are living and finding opportunities elsewhere. Is seeing that living and finding opportunity as an opportunity for Kenya to gain from the skills, the exposure, and the impact that we make in the global sphere. And then coming now to the issue of whether remittances versus structured and all that, I think they go together. You cannot, and I think the statistics that we got yesterday from the ambassador speak a lot to what the resources that are getting to Kenya from remittances are going for. You're investing more in social safety nets, which is really important because we're impacting on lives. 80% of remittances go to household support, education, health, and even at the critical moments when these issues are really needed by the public. Like, it's the same way that you cannot have a people without the people. And if you do not invest in people's health, if you do not invest in people's education, whether you invest in systems and all infrastructure, then that would be a waste. So I believe still that 80% that is going directly to people's lives is very impactful. We cannot just focus on how to do investment from an infrastructural perspective, but your impact on people's lives also creates sustainability. So I would want to say that it's not one or the other. They should go together. But again, as we're going to come probably and discuss further, there are certain bottlenecks in ensuring that there is sustainability and structures that support investments of our diaspora community in Kenya.
I'm just going to chime in when we talk about institutions. I remember having this conversation, after you come to US and you're kind of learning the system, and then I went back home and I was having this conversation with my siblings. And I said, I was like, we need to have anti-corruption classes from nursery. And the reason why I was saying that, because everybody has become so in tuned to bribery and corruption. So those are the things that as guys, as a country, we have to look at institutions and remind ourselves, what are some of the things that we need to start from nursery, right? The Chinese do it. They start teaching people from kindergarten how to sew, how to put things together, right? So those are some of the things, like institutions, that we can look at and decide what impact are we going to, we as a nation, we as a people, what are we going to do for our country? And the next question actually fits your background as a lawyer. And the question says, Should diaspora members who do not pay taxes influence national policy?
I would love to debate it and say no, but of course that would not be a correct answer because it's a definite yes. Like you remain a citizen of Kenya, and we already have avenues that allow participation of diasporians in public policy. We have currently the I think diaspora policy of 2024 that lays out certain areas of commitments from, I think, the major sectors, from education, health, technology and all these things, on how the diaspora community should participate. But are we participating? I think that is the question. Like from now, what we are having, you have an entire community of teachers who have experience from here. When we were doing the CBC sort of change curriculum, what was the input of the diasporan community during that process? When we have been moving now to the social health insurance framework, what has been the impact of the knowledge and skills that we have as diasporians in such processes? The policy actually even mentions directly that you should already be participating in budget making processes. Of course, saying that diaspora remittances are double what we get from direct foreign investment, FDIs, already shows you that you're already having an impact on domestic resource mobilization. So if you're contributing to the basket, then you should also contribute to how the resource is being utilized. So I think we are not yet there as a diasporan community, at least from a Kenyan perspective. I don't feel that there is that strong voice or participation from the diasporan community. Probably it's there, we are not probably aware, but yeah, I think we can probably do more, but also take advantage of the structures that are there that have been created either through policy or through institutions such as the consulate here and within other jurisdictions to ensure that there is effective participation.
All right. Thank you so much, Gitonga, for elaborating. And I'm hoping there are people of influence in those offices where we need our voices heard when it comes to tax policies from the diaspora. The next question I'm going to direct it to Deborah. Does diaspora advocacy strengthen democracy or create unrealistic expectations from afar?
First, I'm going to start by debating just two of the things that they say. And one of it is, since you had a saying, there's also a saying that says, teach somebody, give somebody a fish and they'll eat for a day, teach them how to fish, and then they'll have food forever. So when we are talking about all the time remitting this money and it making changes, it's just the few. But could you imagine if we took that money and created something substantial that people can actually use and do even better? So I think sometimes we should think about giving more skills than always just remitting. And then when it comes to the question you answered about the development and building those houses and things like that, I think we are hurting the country by buying these very expensive houses that the people who actually live in those countries will never afford. So housing is getting more and more unreachable. I know now there's affordable housing that is coming, but those affordable housing, the people are paying rent. They're not owning them. So they're not building what we call generational wealth. So we should resist from buying such expensive houses when that is not what is happening for the people who live there. The reason why the houses marketing keeps going higher and higher, it's because some of us, when we get some good money, we go and spend it over there, which is not right. I mean, you don't need to buy such an expensive house when you live in an area where other people will not be able to do that. Now, let's go back to my question, if you don't mind repeating, and I'll hurry. I won't say too much to it.
Does diaspora advocacy strengthen democracy or create unrealistic expectations from afar?
Somebody mentioned when I said the change that China has gone through. I had gone to China in 2000, and it looked like anywhere else in the business street of Nairobi. And if now you go to China, it looks like heaven. And why? Because I think some of the democracy that was brought to Kenya, African countries, is not really what should be happening. When we had elders and when we had people with experience give in some of this information, not politicians. I mean, people who could speak for the community. That makes more of a difference if they say, in this community, in our community, we're going to get all the young men and we are going to build a road, because there are places in this world where we've seen in Vietnam when there's flooding and all that, the people living in that village come together and create their road. They dig those ditches to put their pipes and all that. So the democracy that we've imported that looks like the democracy that has been practiced and pushed for almost 250 years is not the same one that we should be exporting in Kenya when we have communities that can make a bigger difference. I know many of you will differ with me, but I think if we look at it from community to community, and then as a community we have more power to push against the government, then I think that would work better.
Oh, thank you so much, Deborah, for that comment. All right, I'm going to now direct towards the audience, and I'm just going to I'm going to see if we can have a few answers from the audience, and we'll take a few comments and questions. But my question is first, hold your question, but I'm going to ask the audience this question. Are diaspora professionals transferring enough knowledge and mentorship back to Africa?
Nani amesikia swali? Or was it Charles here? Okay, Mike?
Oh, can you repeat the question, please?
Are diaspora professionals transferring enough knowledge and mentorship back to Africa?
Okay, so I'm going to answer it based on my perspective. So maybe this is just my opinion. And based on probably what I see a lot of nurses coming here, I see a lot of teachers coming here. Yet in Kenya, we need that. So I don't know if we're really transferring back there or we're bringing back here. I mean, the way I see, I don't think we're doing that.
What about the mentorship part?
Okay, another answer here.
Okay. I'll speak for myself. In terms of Africa, yes. Because I work in the area where I'm doing international consultancies on issues of anti-corruption, governance, anti-money laundering, and I do a lot of policy work for the African countries. And for Kenya, my country, I work a lot with the law enforcement. So I've done some policy work for the Asset Recovery Agency. I've done national risk assessments, and I mentor quite a number of people. So in terms of giving back, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. There's a response here. We get one before, come to Mike.
Yeah, mine is just a quick one. What is the definition of enough? That's more of a question. So we need to define what enough is, right? And then my quick response to that is probably not, and probably because the structures do not exist. Yeah, I know this beautiful lady here has a lot of knowledge a lot of information that she'd like to get across back to Kenya, but how does she do it? Does she get up, get on a plane, go to Kenya and look for someone on the street and start training them? Yeah. So what structures exist? Are there any structures or not?
Thank you, Dr.
Let me start. Okay. So for me, I think we are doing a lot, but a lot needs to be done. 2 years ago, when we started the journey of KUSAT, you among the people who traveled from here to Kenya. Who else was here? I've been with Dr. Jean and a number of people who traveled with me to Kenya. So, I mean, structures, if you have to wait for the structures, they can take forever. But I think we can do something. So, to answer you, I think we are doing something, but a lot still need to be done. The journey is on. I see a number of people who traveled from Kenya to here. Igeria, you were in Kenya for a whole month last month, and I believe there were no structures that you wanted, but you were able to do something. So yes, we are doing something, and a lot still need to be done.
Thank you. You want to take another round?
Can I add something?
Okay.
Mine is not really to respond to the question, but to make a comment about a comment that was made earlier on by one of the panelists concerning partnerships. Why most people in Kenya feel like they want to take the whole cake is because partnerships are really, really hard back home. And why is it hard back home is because it's been ingrained in us to want to have the whole cake. Sadly, it's a social flaw, unfortunately. As a business journalist, you'll find we've covered stories on SportPesa why the partnership almost failed is because of the wrangles inside. You start small, you grow the cake, it's big, and now you feel like, what does this guy actually do here? Let's take him out. So I think the stories we need to tell more is how, from a very young age, as you were saying.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
you have to start from the kindergarten.
And do you know where it starts from? Even in group work, there are two forms. So even in group work in high school, in school generally, you'll always have some dead weight you're carrying. Some people who will just not to take up the work. And so the group leader, or the person who really cares about the group, will go ahead and do the whole work by himself or by herself. Now, that's a problem in two ways. So this one who's doing the whole work by himself will one day want to, in future, claim the whole ownership later on. And the one who doesn't do the work feels entitled, but still also wants a share of it. So that's where it starts from. Partnerships are extremely difficult.
I think we get an opportunity to say how,
Yeah,
and now.
I wanted
a question at the back for a long time.
This one? Okay. So you make them brief, huh? You make them brief. You don't repeat what the presenter said.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. To answer your question, yes, you guys do very little to do things back at home. And if you're going to wait for structures, we'll wait forever. You just have to be intentional. Now, on the same note, just a few observations that I have. I deal with two markets, the Nigerian market and the Kenyan market in real estate here. Because we have two projects in Kenya and in Nigeria. Just an observation, because there was a discussion going on how Nigerians and Indians are very successful and why Kenyans are not. I've been in rooms where both of those are there, and I can tell you a few. Probably you can take some hints on that. So the Kenyan market is very young. You guys are very young. You started coming in here from 2000. Nigerians and Indians have been here from 1960s. So don't be too hard on yourself. And the second is that I think we always choose the safer route. Stability, harmony, community. That's why we end up doing choosing careers in healthcare, most of us. I'm glad that I came here, so I'm meeting engineers, I'm meeting tech guys here. You hardly have a conversation in Kenyan meetings where I meet you people there. And third, Nigerians especially now, there's something they call the Nigerian agility. they have an appetite for risk. And they are businessmen here. They're entrepreneurs here. On the other side, Sisi, we prefer the safer route. We want to work. We want to do the 8 to 9, it is not 8 to 9 here. It is more hours on it as much as we can. So that's an observation. So my take is that, please, let's behave the way we behave at home. I'm here from Kenya, I'm selling houses. I don't know anybody here. I'm just going to meet you guys here. That's the spirit. You guys need to start doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. That's community homes. You have appetite for risk. Nigerians, what appetite do you have? Ama tungoje food. So tungoje food, tuone appetite. I'm taking some more rounds in this route, then we'll be done.
I'll keep it very short. Instead of starting in the nursery school, let's start in our homes. Teach our children how to not take bribes, not want them, just work your way up.
Thank you.
My response is more towards mentorship. Leo nitajaribu niongee kawaida kwa sababu jana niliongea mkasema mkusikia. Sasa leo nitajaribu. But mine is on the mentorship side. I have built a virtual community platform and we have reached people globally around the world. And we have instructors who are specialists, so I know it's possible, and it's here in the United States. And we have students from all around the world, including Kenya. So I know it's possible for us to be able to build platforms where we have experts just like all of you. Yesterday I sat here and I was in awe of the brilliance sitting in the room. And the way I was thinking was, how can we make it possible for Kenyan students, Kenyan people who are back home to access what you have? And there is technology that has been built to make it happen. I have personally built a virtual platform that reaches people all around the world. I'm currently building another one, and I know it's possible. So on the mentorship aspect, when it comes to the infrastructure, it's just looking to where those resources and tools are and making it happen. So I do advocate for that, and we need to build one not only for KUSAT, but just a platform where we can have specialists and brilliant minds like yours reaching regular people at home, giving them the knowledge, the wisdom that you have in order to mentor them into the next season. I believe this is also going to bridge the gap between generations, which is also what we're facing. So thank you.
Thank you. Mmesikia hiyo? Umejaribu? Yes, okay.
All right. For me personally, I think it starts with all of us, right? Even being here itself, it sends a very big message. This is you contributing to your community. Thank you for showing up. Now, Mak'Ouma has the Kenya USA Tech Forum, which is a good opportunity. It's a starting point. We've done pitching sessions for entrepreneurs in Kenya who come just to present their ideas to us. They want feedback, they want our ideas, they want our opinions on what they're building. And I think one of the things we want to do in this conference is to have tangible outcomes. And I have had your conversation with Mak'Ouma on what are some of the practical things that we're going to do from tomorrow so that we start executing and not just talking about some of these things. So by the end of today, if you are a professional or an expert in your field and you would like to give back to the community back home, I will personally create a registry. Please sign up, let me know what you're good at, and we will mobilize people to come and ask you questions, and that should be a good starting point.
So I'm going to comment on the mentorship as well. But I think it starts in the very basic, alumni. How many of you, when you go to Kenya, you just go to your primary schools and, just talk to the kids and say, I came from here, so you can do X, Y, and Z. It's effortless, right? And those kids are just like, their eyes just brighten up, they're ecstatic because they can see the art of the possible, right? They're like, oh, she came from here or he came from here, so I can be, you know, because I think that you know, the biggest thing about the kids at home at that age is they don't see the art of the possible, because they don't see beyond, you know, their school, their community, their, you know, they're just surrounding, right? They never leave the village or whatever, right? You left the village, you're in the US, you know, you're a professor somewhere, right? And so those kids need to see that, right? Just seeing is believing. Nothing more, nothing less. Just very early, just show up. 10 minutes, look kwa kibanda in the village. What have you not, right? If you don't have a village, I mean, like, you know, you can come and be my village person, you know. But I'm sure everybody here has, you know, Shagokwa or whatever. Yeah, so.
Actually, chiming in on, you know, people who go back to schools, I'm gonna give you a quick story, 1 minute. I remember I was in high school, Form 3, and my headmistress, is that what they're called? Yeah. Yes. She had just come from US, right? And she was new to us. I went to Meriliki. Those who, anybody from Meriliki? That's where I went. Ish. Yeah, I know haters. So she came, and she came back with a book by Dr. Ben Carson. Yeah. How many know Dr. Ben Carson's story?
I read the book.
I'm telling you, when I came to Maryland, that was my mission in life, to meet Dr. Ben Carson in person. And I made it happen. It didn't matter. Everywhere I went, I was like, can I get connected? How can I meet Dr. Ben Carson? And I landed to the right person who connected me to Dr. Ben Carson during a conference, because he normally does conference for giving scholarships to Black children. And I met him and I told him the story, and I was like, before he became a politician, okay? I was very excited, but that was impactful because I carried that from back home in high school. I didn't know I was going to ever come and land in Maryland and actually meet Dr. Ben Carson and say, I read your book all the way back in Africa. And I was motivated to actually meet this neurosurgeon who came from a very small neighborhood and single mom raised. So it does make an impact in life because it gave me motivation to know I can do anything I want to do in life.
Thanks, Naomi. And before we hand it over to the panel, I'll just wrap it up. We have one here from Dr. Pauline. And by any chance you don't have a village, just as Dr. Jane said, please come join our villages. Yes, we still want more diaspora members, more village mates.
Yeah, welcome to my village. Nurses in the house, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to be quick. First of all, thank you, Aisha. Thank you, lady in the red jacket, because you literally answered what my question was gonna be. But I'm gonna add a caveat to it. You have a list, you have a platform. Can we challenge ourselves that when we come back here next next year, we're gonna be talking about we're gonna be talking about what we have achieved, because Aisha will have the platform. She will have, you know, the thing. What about adding the AI people, since it's an AI kind of forum conference, can they also do something to make us start that conversation? There's brilliant brains in here. Can we use those brains to... That's my one question. Then Mr. Policy guy sitting over there, I don't know your names, I'm sorry. My thing when I read the Kenyan diaspora policy, I was appalled. Why? It was all about money this, money that, money this, money that. So my thing was, are we just money bags? Are we just gonna be taxed? What exactly is this policy helping us with? And who wrote this policy? Were the diasporans there? It looked punitive. And unfortunately, I shared it in many forums. because it irked me. But we didn't really get a good response. So diasporans, wake up, because that policy is not for you. It's not friendly. That's it, thank you.
Thank you. Round of applause to everyone. Makofi. For everyone who has taken part in that exercise. I know before I take it back to Naomi, you're answering the question. Are you hurting or helping? I know you have some personal stories. We'll create some moment just for you to get an opportunity to share with us more on whether you are hurting or really helping, or hurting while helping.
You can go ahead and chime in.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to draw your attention to one thing. There is a lot happening already. There are already so many mentorship programs going on. Where do you guys live? Where do you guys live? For example, Karina Titus here leads the Kenyans in STEM Association. There are mentorship programs every month, and I've participated in it. Namunyu is here, he has participated in it. That is there. Number two, on diaspora participation, even on CBC, Professor Gerono was in the committee. We were holding meetings every week to put our input into that new curriculum. Number three, I just told you about the Kenya Scholars and Studies Association. We have mentorship programs with students that go on in Kenya and here. I'm in a WhatsApp group where we try to mentor people to come here as teachers. There are over 10,000 members in that Telegram group. We mentor those people to come here. I'm in the Kenya Scientists in Diaspora group with over 1,000 people, and we mentor people to come to the US and also to succeed at home, to help them in startups. There are so many things happening. In fact, I go to a new state every other weekend. I actually have a YouTube channel. I talk to Kenyans. There is a lot happening, ladies and gentlemen. We need to consolidate all these efforts. KUSAT, when I was talking to me, I told him, hey, do you know that KESA has been holding a conference every year for the last 18 years? Why should we have another one here, another one here? I think it's high time we combine all these efforts. We have Kenya nurses in USA. There are so many groups, and there's a lot happening, ladies and gentlemen, including my friends selling homes there. I'm actually even facilitating Optiven, who are in the US right now. They'll be in DC in 2 weeks selling plots. We help a lot. I rest my case.
So that's a very good comment, that there's so many things. Like I told you all, I've been here for 35 years. I've been in STEM. I've educated a lot of teachers. I've never heard of Kenyan STEMs, whatever that group is. Never heard of it. So there are things that are happening, but I guess I never heard about the CDC or whatever that was also. Never heard of it. So I don't know where these groups meet, what they're doing and all that stuff. All right, yeah, I don't see it. So that's another thing that maybe we need to have a group where Kenyans are connected to things. You all don't have to participate if you don't want to, because I can tell you, there are groups, and let me be controversial a little bit, Nigerians, they have these buses. Sometimes they take these buses all the way from the DMV, and like 20 buses, and they're going to Canada. A lot of their girls are married. Over here, a lot of our girls find it difficult to get married, you know? So because we are not connecting, we come here, again, we do our solo thing. I'm culprit for that. I mean, for the longest time, I was building my career, I was traveling in the world and all that stuff. But I did write, if you all know Women in Cybersecurity, it's an international organization. It's in 100 and something countries. I co-wrote the mentoring material. And this mentoring that goes on for jobs and all that. So some of us have done things like that. I've also, the Anita Bog, which is 30,000 women worldwide. There's mentoring program, I mentor over there. So there's mentoring happening, But again, a lot of us, maybe we are not in the right places, in right spaces, especially those of us who came long time ago, so we don't know what's happening.
All right, I think we can go on and on and on. This is a very hot topic, and thank you, Mark, for assigning me this one, because I've loved it. Everybody was very engaged on this topic. So I'm going to leave one comment. What is one thing that you can impact? If you're not making any changes anywhere, you need to, look at yourself and decide, where am I going to make an impact? The last thing I want to say, I need somebody to help me create that grade list, so we can put all the Kenyan resources in one versus WhatsApp. Who's going to help me do that grade list for Kenyans? We can partner up, we can do that. We can do that, and you know what I mean? Please, let's connect, and so we can have all resources. This is how we start making changes. Because I'm not a developer, but I can help chime in. All of us, you know what I mean? So we make changes right away, all right? All right,
okay.
Thank you so much.
Makofi, let's give him some rounds.